Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver
Hey guys,
now.
Bix Weir, roadtour.com. It is Friday, December 5th, 2015. We just saw silver run up past 59, going towards 60, and then get slammed back down. First of all, I did an interview with Sean at SGT Report. He is a longtime friend. He's been kicked off YouTube more than a lot of people I know. But he is a great interviewer, and we got into some really cool subjects about silver. And I mean, we go back 15 years now since the early days of Road to Ruta. And you guys are going to like it. To check out the interview, go to roadtoruta.com. It's on the free page, the front page, public page. Also put your name and email address in for silver updates, as well as crypto updates. I mean, I'm so crazy bullish on T-Fuel right now, Theta Fuel, especially because all these big corporations are saying they're not going to put any more money into AI infrastructure when it needs $5 trillion by 2030. I'll get to that in a second. But also, for private road members, I have posted the latest Jenny Moonstone discussion, and we specifically talked about the thing that she told us about months ago that just got announced, which is the latest way they rigged the price of silver, which is the CFTC, the regulator, has approved JP Morgan can rehypothecate the silver held at SLV in London, 400 million ounces. So Jen and I talk about, okay, what kind of time. She wasn't specific as to what it was. She said they got a new gig, and they think it might work, but it's not going to work the way they want it to. Anyway, we chat about it in this week's discussion. Go to roadtoruta.com, sign up for the private road, or if you're a member already, go check it out. All right, silver. We're at $58.37. Big wow. This is not a retail type of thing. People keep telling me, hey, Bix, my retail silver guy says, more people are selling. They're going to come back and buy that very same silver in a month. It's going to be hysterical. But the amount of silver in on the retail side, the stacker side, is this much. I mean, you can barely see it. Less than 1%. Remember, on the derivative side, they trade over 500 million ounces every day. Obviously, derivatives are out of whack. But on the industrial side, India has been, the last 3 months that have been reported, has doubled the amount they imported each and every time. Last reported month was October at about 55, 57 million ounces, which, I mean, that is silver that was not expected to leave. That's why JP Morgan had to tap into SLV. If you're an SLV holder, you can kiss it goodbye. It won't withstand the collapse of the system. I talk about that on the SGT report chat with Sean. Go check it out. So yeah, as far as silver, I don't know what to tell you other than get your physical in your own possession and sit on the sidelines. There will be the forms of silver will come into question. Absolutely. They're already coming into question. Really interesting discussion between the head of a debate between CZ of Binance and Peter Schiff of what is it? Oh, hang on. Let me get it. Hang on. Just hold on 1 second. So here it is. The Peter Schiff and CZ. And CZ pulls out. This is so funny. It's a debate. Peter Schiff has been against Bitcoin since day one, against all cryptos, really. And CZ has been, obviously he's the founder of the largest exchange on the planet, Binance. But listen to this debate. CZ destroys Peter Schiff in like 30 seconds. Watch this.
You see, like it says, Kyrgyzstan, 1,000 grams, fine gold, 99.9.9, and a serial number. Try it.
Yes, yeah, it's heavy.
Is it real gold or no?
Well, I don't know. I mean, is this what you're trying to say? I mean,
just nailed him. You don't know if your gold is real. That is what I'm talking about. That is why it's so important. And you won't know if your silver is real either. And it's going to get this crazy. CZ makes a great point there. It could be gold. It might not be gold. I think there's more gold fake bars out there than there is silver, mainly because nobody ever drills into a gold bar. They just do the scratch and sniff test. There's only really one way to be 100% sure of what you have, and that's to melt it down. That's why my number one suggestion for U.S. citizens is get the pre-65 coinage. It's very difficult to fake that stuff, and there's no reason. It's such small quantities. But the reality is we won't have to melt that down to figure out what it's worth. We're going to see premiums on U.S. mint coinage go through the roof. Meaning Silver Eagles and pre-65 coinage. The crazy market, I've been saying how the retail isn't really into this. They were turning in their pre-65, and they were apparently melting them down into Comex bars, which is great for us who own pre-65 because that means there's less and less and less of it. But the key thing for me was always it's silver in such a small denomination. It would be really hard to fake it. And because the price is so cheap, no one would fake it. They'd go fake gold bars because the price is so much. And because it's expensive to make something fake that kind of, has an exterior of silver or gold, but not, something wrong with the interior. That's why 100-ounce bars, I don't have any. I stopped investing in those because you don't know if they have molybdenum in it, which is a very similar density as silver. And with gold, you don't know if they're tungsten. When CZ gave Peter Schiff that bar, the reason Peter Schiff says I don't know what's in it is because he thought CZ was going to fool him and had a fake bar made. That's the problem. You don't know what's in your gold. You don't know what's in your silver. And then he went on to there's pros and cons, but if you did know what's in it, the value proposition would be easier to argue. I mean, my really only problem with Bitcoin was that it is not Satoshi's Bitcoin anymore. The core developers were controlled by the deep state, the deep pedo state, changed it, turned it into a store of value. I think Bitcoin as a store of value, it will be called into the questions very soon, especially when the banks collapse and have to sell all their Bitcoin. And where would they sell it to? They can't even get rid of it. So we're going to have a stoppage in exchanges and markets. We're heading into a very odd time. And I talk about that on the chat with Sean at SGT Report. I would like to point out that silver gold ratio is down to 72. Let me refresh this. 72. That's great. I was screaming, oh my God, it's at 80, 90, 100. I'm still screaming, it's at 72. It's coming out of the ground. That's probably, just using today's metrics, that's at least 10 times higher than it should be. Because it's coming out of the ground at less than 7-1 right now. And it's not like there's massive stockpiles of silver. We saw that because JP Morgan had to rehypothecate 400 million ounces of SLV silver just to cover a month or two in London, or 3. Jenny and I talk about how long this will really take to run through that. But it's going, man. It is. The big money knows the cat is out of the bag. So, yeah, I expect to see at some point the Comex will shut down and we won't really know the price of silver. Same with the LBMA, and might coincide with the JP Morgan issues coming up when the Epstein files are released. Yes, JP Morgan was knee-deep in Epstein. It wasn't just they're getting cash. And I've talked about that a while. Okay. Anyway, as far as deliveries, yep, there was over 2.5 million delivered yesterday. Of that, a little over 500,000, 600,000 was brand new, meaning somebody came into the Comex, said, I want to buy a contract, I want to stand for delivery right now. And we're seeing more and more of that. It's not going to be, it doesn't look like it's going to be the biggest delivery month, but it is by far the biggest delivery year. We're already at over... let's see, this is over 50 million ounces already. And in the hopper, there's another, I think 100. somewhere around 4 million more. So we're going to be somewhere around 55 million after tomorrow. Well, come Monday. That's the amount that's left to be delivered, which is about 5 million ounces left to be delivered. And, don't forget, there's people still coming in all month. It's going to be a shortened month. There's not as many delivery days because of the holidays coming up. But we're already over 50, and we could see 60 million ounces. I think it's more a function now, not that we can't do the 80 million ounces that are the records, but the silver's not there. The silver's not available. I think it's very telling that the CFTC had to approve JP Morgan's ability to mobilize the SLV silver inventories in London. I mean, talk about admitting massive manipulation. And if you're an SLV shareholder, you should be suing the shit out of BlackRock and JP Morgan and the CFTC. It sounds completely illegal if you ask me, because as an SLV shareholder, you have one share of SLV. It's supposed to represent close to one ounce of silver held in trust. And here you have the very same vehicle that you're investing silver for the appreciation of being used to suppress the price of silver. This is just beyond the pale. Caroline Pham of the CFTC worked for Citibank. They had the large short on SLV. So completely incestual. Going back, even the OCC, the head of the OCC large trading is an ex-JP Morgan guy. I mean, they have completely infiltrated and control every aspect of our lives. And when they go away, everything will change. It'll be crazy, but what isn't these days? All right, moving on. Really interesting. The Silver Institute and Metals Focus lie their asses off. And they're always quoted by everybody, so that's really the only silver data out there. These people are beyond reprehension, beyond anything that I presented them nice, a bowed package with all the information I had on silver used in solar, and they literally lied, cheated, and steal. They literally cut it in half and then changed the historical numbers so that they didn't look so fraudulent. And I busted them on that too. But yeah, we're well over 400 million every year, probably over 500 million or 600 million ounces used in solar. Now, that's not just what's being installed, but there's massive overproduction of solar right now, continuing. And it's the TopCon that's being made, which has more silver, even though the Silver Institute is saying, they're being thrifted out. It's been that for a tiny bit of the Solar Institute or the solar installations. Remember, these companies that make solar panels don't have much money. They're pretty much all running on bankruptcy. And they're not going to change a production line for brand new technology. They don't have the money to do that, and it's not tested technology. The latest and greatest thrifting, the Silver Institute and Metals Focus just throws that in there. Nope. Well, yeah, we see that the amount of silver installed is doubling and tripling and quadrupling over the last few years, but the amount of silver used is going down because of thrifting. Bullshit. You guys are full of shit. I'm sorry. You just are. And then I read that they had a reason for the amount of automobiles and electric vehicles, amount of silver used there, not rising as much as the sales of electric vehicles. And they said there's thrifting there. And that is just a blatant, flat out lie. There has never been a car company or a car parts provider say, or electric car companies say that they are thrifting silver. It's exactly the opposite. They're not thrifting silver. They're adding more silver to all the sensors and all the technological advancements in regular cars and in EVs. So these two entities, the Silver Institute run by Mike Dorenzo, he's pretty much the only guy there, that should be shut down. That's who the spokesperson is. I've talked to Mike. He's complete ass. And he's not smart enough to figure this out, other than he does what he's told. That's his job. He's been there for decades. And the Silver Institute, even mining companies are backing out of supporting the Silver Institute. Ask Keith Neumeier about the Silver Institute. So they're saying, Silver Institute's saying there's thrifting in autos, and that is just a crock of shit. They're using more. So you see, what is it? This year was like the smallest increase in EV sales, electric vehicle, and it's going to be an increase from last year of 18 to 30%, depending on the final numbers. So what does that tell you? That's the global EV sales. That tells you the electric vehicles would use a lot more than what they're telling you also. It's not an ounce and a half to 2 ounces. It's like 4 to 5 ounces. Some people are saying a lot more than that. But even if it was what they said, let's just say an ounce and a half on average. Even if it was that, you cannot see the global sales of electric cars going up, say 25%, and the amount of silver used in those cars is not going up at all. That is ridiculous. These people at the Silver Institute and Metals Focus are lying flat out through their teeth, especially when they say there's thrifting in automotive silver. It's the exact opposite. And nobody knows what that number is. I don't even think Elon knows, and he's a maker of probably the most silver usage cars on the planet. The Tesla has the best technology because they have to use a lot of silver. Elon will never tell us exactly how much they use. But that's the other thing. You look at Elon, it's like, holy shit, Elon, your world is about to change, my friend. You've got electric cars. You've got massive amounts of silver used in space travel and all that, which is fine because it's a tiny, infinitesimal part of the cost. So space travel will be fine. Cars will even be fine at $1,000 silver. You're just adding a couple $1,000s to the price of a car. Those are fine. It's the Tesla Tiles, his solar company, that's going to really take the ding because there's no reason that so much silver should have gone into these solar panels. I get it, that it makes sense because you increase the productivity of the panel. I'm hearing like 35% now for the latest and greatest panels, but they're maximum silver usage. The TopCon double-sided. So I don't know, maybe the amount of silver used and the overproduction, which is massive. China added 50 gigawatts of overproduction into their warehouses in 2025. You can't make this stuff up. 50 gigawatts, probably 30 million extra ounces into solar, extra beyond the massive amount that's already going in. And like I said before, and listen to the Sean interview, because I talk about 2 years ago, I was knee deep in solar, analyzing every move, everything. I bought some reports, all that stuff. I did everything I could, and I came out with definitive conclusions on the amount that was being used, and nobody gave a shit. So I'm like, well, should I fight this, or should I just wait until they run out of silver, and then they can, somebody can kick them in the head. You idiot! How did you not know you were using up all the silver in solar? That's where we are now. We're at the you idiot part. And that's why London ran out of metal. That's why JP Morgan had to rehypothecate 400 million ounces of SLV inventory, which the CFTC just gave them permission to do. The game goes on. Fight. Get your metal. Get it out of the exchanges. You should be completely out of the stock market. The stock market is going to go so sideways that imagine the most too big to fail bank in the world, JP Morgan Chase, 60 trillion derivatives, and we have a report on Epstein's situation middle of the month in like 2 weeks, and JP Morgan goes down, everything goes down. You won't have any stocks and bonds. Your retirement's gone. There'll be nothing left. That's how big this is. The derivative market is over $3 quadrillion. Nobody recovers from that. But we all lose all that debt we had. Who's the biggest winner if the system collapses? The United States of America, of course, because we got most of the debt. We have double the debt of China. But who knows even if this debt number bullshit is real? There's lots of reasons not to believe it's real. That it's actually a lot bigger than what, the 38, 39 trillion more in debt. It's a lot bigger because Elon found 14 computers that were creating money out of thin air. How much did the Biden family give themselves from those computers in their little shell corporations? You can't get rid of that money. It's already out there. You can't get rid of it. It was created out of thin air within U.S. government, like within the Department of Justice, within the HUD area of the government, within the Treasury. There was 14 computers, and just paying bills out of anything, paying them to anybody. You didn't even need a receipt. All you had to do is be the guy clicking yes, 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 yes on the computer. And poof, the money goes. But where did it come from? It wasn't there. It was never there. That's the insanity. That's what Ruta wrote in the sand in the original Road to Ruta documents. Print money to infinity, and that's exactly what we've done. All right, this is, I talked a little about Theta and Theta Fuel especially, and this whole build out of, this is like the dot-com bubble days when they're building all these companies, pets.com, thinking everything was going to go on the internet. A whole shell companies were built. They were just building and building. Same with the broadband connections, all these massive WorldCom, I think it was called, massive expansion. The mind was saying this is what we need, but the reality of when it takes place is much later. And now we just don't have the cash. All the investors in AI infrastructure growth, they're all starting to say, holy shit, we threw too much at it, and it's still not enough. So this from IBM CEO says, no way, spending trillions on data centers will pay off. For much of the year when AI bulls were too busy to be bothered with doing the simple math on what a full AI cycle would cost in terms of both data center capex and energy outlays, we warn that there is simply no way that this is feasible, as the upfront costs in the trillions, assuming existing technologies, would never be covered by future revenue streams, especially if AI makes it far beyond Junior's $19.95 monthly chatbot subscription, so someone gets to write his college essays. More recently, JP Morgan joined the fray when it calculated that not only would it take over $5 trillion to fund AI through 2030, but that the government, the taxpayers, would have to foot about $1.4 trillion of that bill. So AI investing everybody's running away from it, but they still need that infrastructure. That's where Theta comes in. All those problems I just read to you, the upfront costs, the power situation, Theta has solved those. And so I asked Grok, instead of building out AI centers for $5 trillion through 2030, doesn't it make more sense to download the Theta Edge node on all systems that can run the compute/storage sharing functionality? You don't have to pay $5 trillion to build out any AI if Theta can scale it, that type of scaling, which it can. It's a software. Here was the Grok response. The $5 trillion AI data center build out real or overhyped? You're spot on to question the massive projected spend on AI data centers. Recent analysis pegged the global capital expenditure at around $5.2 trillion for AI-specific infrastructure through 2030, part of a broader $6.7 trillion total for all data centers. This comes from hyperscalers like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon pouring billions into GPU-packed facilities to handle exploding demand for AI training and inference. Now, I'm going to pause right there. Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are all partners of Theta Labs. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, it's eye-watering. A single top-tier AI center could cost $200 billion by 2030 and guzzle 9 gigawatts of power, equivalent to 9 nuclear power plants. The strain on the energy grids, water, and real estate is already sparking backlash, with data centers projected to eat up 8 to 21% of global electricity by the decade's end. Your Theta network idea, scaling the Edge Node app to tap idle compute and storage on billions of devices, taps into a hot debate: centralized behemoths versus distributed edge networks. Theta is set up with 30,000 desk nodes delivering 80 petaflops, akin to 250 NVIDIA A100s, plus its new Android mobile nodes, which is really important because they're partnering with all the telecom companies now, aiming at 3.9 billion devices, could theoretically crowdsource a planetary supercomputer for pennies on the dollar. Let's break it down if it makes more sense as a full alternative. Centralized data center. And it goes all through the difference between, but this is important, especially if you're invested in cryptos, especially Theta, my favorite. Theta Fuel is my favorite token right now. I like Theta, but Theta Fuel will do much better, much better on the AI side than Theta. Mainly because there's 1 billion Theta tokens out there, which is a nice, it's fixed, which is good. And there's, I think, close to 7 billion T-Fuel out there, which increase at 5% per year, but get burned. A portion of it gets burned on every transaction. If you're going massive, let's just say, for yucks and giggles, that China invades Taiwan, and all of a sudden that ability to build those centers is gone. I think this is the big thing that these guys are waiting for, is these partners, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, go to Theta and say, the whole world is screwed with AI unless we figure out a workaround for building out all these data centers. That's exactly what Theta has figured out. It's a software download. I got quite a few edge nodes running, edge booster nodes. And what do? They share broadband. They share storage capacity, and they share compute power. Problem solved. But here's the really thing that needs to sink into everybody, I think. And I'll show you right here. You go to CoinMarketCap, and you look up Theta or T-Fuel. Look at that. It's trading for 2 cents. And its all-time high was 60 cents. That's a 30-bagger. Just to get to the all-time high, which happened when it wasn't even an AI choice back then. The edge node wasn't even running. That was all part of the content, the CDN, the content delivery network. They were sharing everybody's broadband. They said, well, if we could share broadband, and it worked. And this is what the crypto viewing guys or future forecasting guys got wrong in their analysis of Theta. They're looking at Theta, the old Theta. They weren't looking at the new Theta, which is AI, which is actually T-Fuel, which is what you want to own. Because if you stake T-Fuel, you make 7% just on a regular stake. If you stake Theta, you're making like 2% in T-Fuel. So, I know it's hard for some people. If you've been in this world long enough, in the crypto world, and I have been since I got in, Cliff called me and said, yeah, you got to get into crypto back in 2014, I think, something like that. And I fought it all the way, by the way, because I like silver more. But crypto was allowed to move forward, and silver was not. So I determined I should have a half and half philosophy, which I kind of still have, although I'm not really going to sell any silver anymore, probably ever again. I'll swap it for things I need in life. But the getting back to going through the whole Bitcoin being taken over by the core developers, turned into something that wasn't really useful other than a store of value. Yeah, the price went up. There you go. If you're interested in price, hey, the reason the price of most of these cryptos are going up is because the pedo cabal is running it. With the whole Brock Pearson, that whole gang. They don't like Theta. They're not involved in it. They never were involved in it. So they're not going to run the price up of Theta. Veritasium was direct conflict of all the other people. That's why they took Reggie Middleton out. And now Reggie's coming back strong with Europe just approving another patent, which is, that's massive. So Cliff's data said that Veritasium would go above the price of Bitcoin. Well, Veritasium right now is trading at, $10-15 versus Bitcoin trading at, 90,000. That could be the mother of all moves, truthfully. But also T-Fuel. It could easily go from 2 cents to $10. It probably should, especially if it's going to save all these massive corporations the necessity of building out these data centers, which I don't think are going to be built. Everything on the road to root is lining up kind of the way I think, and it's like it feels a little too perfect right now. Life isn't like that. Life's going to throw you curveballs all the time. But yeah, I mean, Theta Fuel is my hoarding crypto. You want to get it, stake it, hoard it, run a booster node if you can. It's crazy days. So that's what I got for you. It is a interesting time for silver. Hold on to your silver. Get out of any third parties between you and your metal, between you and your wealth. Listen to my interview with Sean. Go to roadtoruda.com. I'll walk you through it. It's about to get really, really crazy, and you have to have your assets in your own possession. That's all I got for you. You want to join the private road at Road to Ruda, go to roadtoruda.com, subscribe today, and we are currently giving away 1 Veritasium token while supplies last. On a paper wallet mailed to your front door, you don't have to worry about it. If you have cryptos, it's a crypto hedge, because Reggie can literally, or Trump could throw the monkey wrench into the cryptos by saying, well, Reggie Middleton has the patent on DeFi and on NFTs and on all kinds of things other than the native blockchain, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Litecoin has a native blockchain. Theta has a native blockchain, things like that. That's what I got for you. This is Bix. You guys have a good weekend. I might be checking in, might not. Silver, let's take a look before I go. Yeah, it's ready. It's ready, and nobody's in. The stackers are just stacking and waiting. Everybody's waiting for something, and I think that something is coming very soon. Watch the middle of the month with JP Morgan Chase. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you.